You're listening to BBC Lincolnshire and BBC Radio Humberside. And if you're a regular listener to this programme, you'll know that over the last couple of months, I've been very fortunate to have a bit of extra help on the show from Jonathan, who has recently graduated from Lincoln University and with a keen interest in vintage and swing band music, asked if he could come and help out on this programme. And of course, it's been a great asset. Jonathan, there's some good news though, because
yes, there is. It's a very good news
for you, bad news for me, because it means we're about to lose you. But tell me what's happened.
I know. Well, first of all, I got a first in my degree, which was brilliant. Very happy with that. I've also got regular employment at BBC Radio York. Fantastic. Now. I've moved there and I'll be working on the mid-morning programme. Oh, so yeah, it couldn't have gone any better.
That's a great result, isn't it?
Yes, definitely, and it all helped doing things I did with your programme.
Yeah, well,
and it really helped. So
it's been a real pleasure having you involved with the show, and I do hope you'll keep in touch.
Yeah, without doubt, I will do, definitely.
Not least because we do like these little gems that you bring in from your own collection from time to time.
Yes, I know.
You've chosen 3 tracks to play.
I have indeed. Yes, yeah.
Tell me about the first one, because this is fascinating.
Yeah. Obviously, as a record collector, I get quite excited about this in my own little geeky way, I guess. This is actually, I guess, what I call a high-fidelity song. In the early 30s, the Victor Company was experimenting with microphones that were as good as the ones that you and I are using today. Yeah. And they started recording certain orchestras with them, and there's no pattern or reason for this, but they were just experimenting the new equipment. Now, bearing in mind this was the start of the Depression, they couldn't afford records, gramophones, etc. And they were playing these new high-quality records on their old wind-up gramophones. Now, these rely on the vibration of the needles, and given that these records were recorded much louder, much clearer, the needles vibrated more, and they just blasted the records to pieces. Right. And would you believe it, Victor scrapped all these microphones, all this wonderful technology, and they went back to the old low-fidelity recordings. So we could have had records from 1932 onwards with microphones as good as ones that we're using today, which is a remarkable thought, isn't it?
It is incredible.
You think what could have been recorded.
Yeah. And how wonderful would it have been to hear, the great bands of the 30s in that kind of high-fidelity
Yes,
sound.
Definitely. And it's something that you really will notice, especially the trumpet solos in this record, and it really does come across well. I have a bit of confession to make. This record isn't actually mine. It belongs to a friend of mine who I met through putting my stuff on the internet, who sends me these these records and has all the equipment and everything to do a much better job than I could do on them in any case. Right. And it has a very early appearance of Fred Astaire in 1932. This is from the Gay Divorcee, and this is I've Got You on My Mind.
I've got you on my mind, although I'm disinclined. You're not so hot, but I've got you on my mind. I'd thank the gods above if I could only love somebody, not you, but I've got you on my mind. Let my poor upset pleasure be, otherwise my pet treasure be, then arrange to let pleasure be a bit less refined. For darling, not until I get that famous thrill will I be resigned. I've got you on my mind.
Leo Reisman and his orchestra, and the music from the movie The Gay Divorcee, featuring Fred Astaire. What a fantastic opportunity to hear him singing in such clarity,
and so early on as well. It's amazing. As I say, there are a few records out there that were recorded with these microphones, but it's just a case of try and see. There's no kind of real rhyme or pattern to it.
Brilliant.
But I just love that record. It's great fun.
And 10 weeks at number one, hardly surprising. Very
well, given how popular the film was as well, it's not surprising.
Well, thank you for bringing that in.
That's all right. I'm really glad. I'm glad I could play that. Actually, I was dying to play that. Right. So moving on.
Yeah. What else you got?
This one is back to my collection. This is another treat as well. This is from the Gene Krupa Orchestra in 1939, and this wasn't issued commercially at the time of recording. I think it was issued on an LP sometime later. What I bought was like a vinyl test pressing of it. So probably to make the LP, they'd done a test pressing on vinyl and then done the LP stuff. And as I say, it was unreleased, so again, it's probably not been heard too often. This is a song called Time Out.
Krupa and his orchestra. Great number. I wonder why it wasn't pushed out.
It's a mystery to me. I know we were saying earlier about while the song was playing, about the politics of the way the music industry worked. Yeah. And obviously the record company wanted to turn a profit. There's nothing wrong with the way it was recorded. They don't mess up or anything. It's just strange. I have no idea why it wasn't released originally.
Curious, isn't it? I mean, you'd expect it at the very least to have turned up as a B-side or something.
Yeah, I know, and there's some really good solos in there. It's very strange, very strange. But as I say, I'm happy to play it. So
a nice collectible piece, I'm sure.
Definitely right. Finally, this is a real treat for fans of New Orleans jazz. I picked up this record quite recently, and it's by a band called the New Orleans Owls. Now, in the mid-20s, the recording industry was basically based around New York because of where the equipment was, and certain companies in the 20s started to do mobile recording expeditions. So they pack up a massive van of things and they drive off around the country recording people who paid them, to make money, cover their costs, and also recording some songs for release. Now, Columbia in 1926 and 1925 made some trips to New Orleans. Now, obviously, New Orleans jazz was exploding at the time, and it was a massive melting pot of music and culture, etc. And they recorded some bands in New Orleans, and this is one of these records by a band called the New Orleans Owls. Now, they played in the Roosevelt Hotel, and they then moved to the Halfway House ballroom, which was previously occupied by the Halfway House Dance Orchestra. As far as 20s New Orleans jazz goes, it doesn't get any better than this. It was recorded in New Orleans by New Orleans musicians in the mid-20s. It's wonderful. This is the New Orleans Owls with West End Romp.
That's wonderful. The New Orleans Owls. They certainly don't make them like that anymore.
No, they don't. No,
period.
I know, and I just think it's terrific to think this van just probably rocked up and they set up a microphone and just played like that, and they sounded like they were having so much fun.
Yeah, marvelous
to be there.
Well, you've clearly got a very interesting collection, and I'm sure it will grow over the years. And
yes, I think so.
Jonathan, very best of luck to you at BBC York.
Thank you.
Please keep in touch with the programme, but it's great news, and I'm sad to see you go, but very happy
I'm sad
for
to
you.
leave. I will miss doing these things, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, and keep collecting.
I will do.